Today we are continuing this beautiful story in the Bhagavatam of Princess Rukmini. She's not queen at this point, so she's princess. And she is orchestrating her own kidnapping. It's quite an amazing story. So here you see Princess Rukmini wondering what should I do? And then she sends a message. And then the message gets to Krishna, and she says, okay, let's figure out how you can kidnap me. All right. So now she's sharing some details because she's plotting out the whole thing. Okay, so we are Srimad Bhagavatam 10:52-42. Right. So she says, Anta purantaracharim anihatya bandhun Tvamudvahe kathamiti pravadamyupayam Purve dyurasti mahati kuladeva yatra Yasyam bahe navavadur girijam upetya. Since I will be staying within the inner chambers of the palace, you may wonder, how can I carry you away without killing some of your relatives? But I shall tell you a way. On the day before the marriage, there is a grand procession to honor the royal family's deity. And in this procession, the new bride goes outside the city to visit goddess Girija. The purport, Srila Prabhupada, well, actually, Srila Prabhupada's servants, they're writing this purport, and they're explaining. The clever Rukmini anticipated a possible objection on the part of Sri Krishna. He certainly would not object to subduing rascals like Shishupal and Jarasandh, but he might be reluctant to injure or kill Rukmini's relatives, some of whom might block his way to the palace's inner sanctum, where the women were protected. The procession to or from the temple of Girija, Durga, would provide the perfect opportunity for Krishna to kidnap Rukmini without harming her relatives. So she continues, Yasyangri pankaja raja snapanam mahanto vanchantyumapatirivatma tamopahatyai yarhyam bujaksha nalabheya bhavat prasadam jahyamasun vrata krishan satasan janmabhisyat. O lotus-eyed one, great souls like Lord Shiva hanker to bathe in the dust of your lotus feet and thereby destroy their ignorance. If I cannot obtain your mercy, I shall simply give up my vital force, which will have become weak from the severe penances I will perform. Then, after hundreds of lifetimes of endeavor, I may obtain your mercy. The purport says the divine Rukmini's extraordinary dedication to Sri Krishna is possible only on the spiritual platform, not in the fragile world of mundane affection. In verse 44. So this is the Brahmana who brings the message of Rukmini. Brahmana uvacha ityete guhya sandesha yadu deva maya hrita vimshra kartum yachatra kriyatam tadanantaram. The Brahmana said, this is the confidential message I have brought with me, O Lord of the Yadus. Please consider what must be done in these circumstances and do it at once. Purport. When the Brahmana arrived, he broke the seal of the confidential letter written in the privacy of Rukmini's quarters and meant only for Lord Krishna. By using the term Guhya Sandesha, the trustworthy Brahmana personally selected by Rukmini here affirms that he has not violated the confidentiality of this message. Only Lord Krishna has heard it. Since the marriage of Rukmini was fast approaching, Sri Krishna would have to act immediately. The term Yadudeva indicates that Lord Krishna, as the Lord of the powerful Yadu dynasty, should make his decision and then mobilize his followers if necessary. So this is the end of the purport. This is the end of the chapter. So 10th canto, 52nd chapter, Rukmini's message to Lord Krishna. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-Janashalakaya Chakshurmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, who has opened my darkened eyes and filled my heart with transcendental knowledge. I further offer my obeisances to all of you assembled Vaishnavas. Kindly seek your blessings that we may recite Srimad Bhagavatam in your company. So coming to this one verse in today's section, Rukmini refers to Umapati. Umapati means Lord Shiva. So here we can see that she's invoking the greatness of the Lord by saying that great souls like Lord Shiva hanker to bathe in the dust of your lotus feet. This verse, we're just reading in sequence as we've been reading Bhagavatam. And incidentally, Lord Shiva is being mentioned by name by Rukmini Devi. And today happens to be the auspicious day of Shivratri. So what are the odds of that, right? Such a big Bhagavatam, so many verses, and to line up like this, certainly it is very auspicious. So it's a great opportunity to worship Lord Shiva or to try to understand him. Who is Lord Shiva? Who is this most enigmatic personality? What is his position? Is he God? Is he an incarnation of God? Is he a Jiva soul? Do Vaishnavas worship him? And how are we as devotees of Krishna, aspiring Vaishnavas, how are we to approach him? So we have a lot of clarity given to us by the Acharyas, by Srila Prabhupada in his purports and his teachings. So in the Bhagavad Gita here, Krishna tells Arjuna, very famous verse in the 14th chapter, Sarva yoneshu kaunteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasham brahma mahad yonir aham bija pradah pita. He says, I am the seed-giving father of all these species of life. And their bodies, their birth, their existence is made possible by me because I am their father. How exactly does that work? So you see here, Lord Vishnu, he engages in the act of being the seed-giving father. And he does that by glancing, not touching. He does it by glancing, just glancing at the personification of the material energy. Here, that's Durga Devi. And this glance of the Lord, you can even see it in the painting, it's there. This glance of the Lord is in fact Lord Shiva himself. Srila Prabhupada explains this point again in the Bhagavatam. When we see that, Lord Krishna, and he sends the demigods to Lord Shiva for help. And Lord Krishna, along with the demigods, go to Lord Shiva. So we'll get to this story. And they pray to Lord Shiva. What do they say? This is now prayer to Lord Shiva, okay? They're saying, oh Lord. So you see the Lord is small l, because it's not Krishna. It says, oh Lord, you are the cause of bondage and liberation for the entire universe because you are its ruler. Those who are advanced in spiritual consciousness surrender unto you. Therefore, you are the cause of mitigating their distresses. And you're also the cause of their liberation. We therefore worship your lordship. So, it's interesting. It's interesting they've capitalized it over here, but they didn't capitalize it here. Purport. Actually, Lord Vishnu maintains and accomplishes all good fortunes. This is purport by Srila Prabhupada, this 8th canto, okay? If one has to take shelter of Lord Vishnu, why should the demigods take shelter of Lord Shiva? They did so because Lord Vishnu acts through Lord Shiva in the creation of the material world. See? So it's not incorrect to say these prayers. Lord Shiva acts on behalf of Lord Vishnu when the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 14:4 that he is the father of all living entities. Aham bija pradah pita. This refers to actions performed by Lord Vishnu through Lord Shiva. See, Lord Vishnu is always unattached to material activities. And when material activities are to be performed, Lord Vishnu performs them through Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is therefore worshipped on the level of Lord Vishnu. When Lord Vishnu is untouched by the external energy, he's Lord Vishnu. But when he is in touch with the external energy, he appears in his feature as Lord Shiva. So this is how the Lord operates. This is how very good leaders, managers, they operate. They empower others to get certain things done. So here in this story, if you recall, there's a churning of the milk ocean. And all that churning, the whole goal of that churning was that everyone will get this amrita, which leads them to deathlessness, this nectar of immortality. But before that can come out, first the toxins come out. An incredible essence of all the toxins of this world, this form of poison, halal poison. And it was so poisonous that this poison was emanating this fumes. It was choking everybody up. They couldn't even breathe. They couldn't even continue the churning process. And so then Lord Krishna says, hey, let's go to Lord Shiva. He's the one, he can help us with this situation. So Lord Krishna delegates this duty to his empowered representatives, such as demigods and great personalities like Lord Shiva. This does not mean, however, that Lord Krishna has lost his power or that he's incapable of doing this task. Shripad Madhvacharya, the great Acharya, who is in our line of Acharyas, our Sampradaya is named after him, Brahma Madhva. Right? So Madhvacharya explains that Lord Krishna went to Shiva along with the other demigods to glorify and give credit to Lord Shiva, who would then swallow the poison and store it in his throat. So in fact, Lord Shiva is essentially an expansion of Lord Vishnu, who takes on a specific role. Just like yogurt is essentially milk, but acts differently. This analogy is not something that we made up. It's there in the Brahma Samhita. Kshiram yatha dadivikara vishesha yoga sanjayate nahi tata pratagasti heto yashambhutamapi tatha samupaiti karyat govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. This is a Brahma Samhita. We recited many times. You must have heard it. Here, Brahma Samhita says, just as milk is transformed into yogurt by the action of cultures, yet the effect of yogurt is neither the same as nor different from its cause, namely milk. So I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Shambhu is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction. So some things to note here. Milk and yogurt are the same in that they're both dairy products, right? But one comes from the other. Yogurt is never the source of milk. Milk is always the source, it's always the other way around. The functions of milk and yogurt are also different. They both have a place in our diet. The Brahma Samhita teaches us how we can actually approach, respect, and correctly offer our worship to these great personalities. Like Lord Shiva, there's a verse about Durga Devi, there's a verse on Lord Ganesh, there's a verse on Surya Dev, the sun god. All those, they're worshipable great personalities. But you'll notice that in each one of those verses, they highlight specifically how they're empowered by Lord Krishna to perform their functions. And all those verses end in the same line. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. When the curtains open today, you will hear Govindam Adi Purush every day. Every day. This is a very important point for us to understand. Now, how is he an incarnation of Lord Shiva? So there are different types of incarnations. One category of incarnation is known as Guna Avatar. Guna Avatar means the avatar who is in charge of a particular mode of material nature. So as one of the three Guna avatars, we can say that Lord Shiva is an avatar of Vishnu. Earlier in the Bhagavatam, we come across this verse, Sattam Rajastama iti prakrite gunastair, yukta para purusha eka ihasya datte, stityade hari virinchi hareti samya, shreyamsi tatra khalu sattvatanor nyanam syu. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, indirectly, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. That's the verse. And the purport Prabhupada explains the Vishnu, or the deity of the quality of goodness in the material world, is the Purusha avatar known as Kshira Dakshaya Vishnu, or Paramatma. Brahma is the deity of Rajas or passion, and Shiva is in charge of mode of ignorance. They are the three departmental heads of the three qualities of this world. Creation is made possible by Brahma's quality of passion. It is maintained by the goodness of Vishnu. And when it's required to be destroyed, Lord Shiva does it by the Tandava Nritya. He dances. Usually in destruction, you want to do it by some explosives or fire or something like that. But no, Lord Shiva, he does it by dancing. That's how cool he is. He's known as the Lord of the Dance, Nataraj. He's the original Lord of the Dance. And after that, many people came, Irish dancers, say, I'm the Lord of the Dance. No. Lord Shiva is the Lord of the Dance, Nataraj. This Tandav Nitya. And how powerful is dance? It destroys the whole universe. And then, of course, it gets regenerated again. It's just part of the cycle. So, yeah, there you go. Michael Flatley, that's the guy. The oiliest chest award. So the materialists and the foolish human beings worship Brahma and Shiva. I'm just reading from the purport. Worship Brahma and Shiva respectively. But the pure transcendentalists worship the form of goodness, Vishnu in his various forms. Now, one of the qualities of Lord Shiva is that he's very easily pleased. His name is Ashutosh. Ashutosh means very easily pleased. And so what happens, right? Lord Shiva is also known as Bholenath. He's very, very innocent, and even you can say to some degree gullible. He's innocent to a fault. And that's part of his sweet charm. He is so giving that he gives his association to the most fallen, most unfortunate souls in this existence. So he hangs out where ghosts tend to hang out. He gives his association freely. He wears snakes and things like that, poisonous things. It's amazing what he does. So demons tend to approach him very easily. Ravan is famous to be a devotee of Lord Shiva. And then there's this demon, this particular one, he also approached Lord Shiva. So see, Lord Shiva, he grants desires fairly easily. But because of that nature, and they weren't thought through, some of these wishes, they tend to backfire. For example, so many people who have won the lottery, many of them testify that the lottery winning destroyed their lives. So many of their young relatives died because of it. There's some violence. There's several who say they wish they'd never won it. So sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for. See? So in this particular case, right, there's this demon known as Bhasmasur. Bhasmasur. Bhasma means ashes. So this Bhasmasur, he performed some austerities. And Lord Shiva came to him and says, it looks like you want something. Yeah, I want this boon. that if I had touched somebody's head, that person will just immediately burn to ashes. The head would blow up and the person would just die. And the guy would just die. And a very odd boon to ask for. Lord Shiva, in his generosity, he said, yeah, sure. Okay, if that's what you want, you can have it. So Bhasmasura felt so empowered. And he's like, okay, cool. I'm going to test it out. Let's see who's the first guy here. Oh, Lord Shiva is right here. Let me just try it on you. He started running after Lord Shiva, and I'm going to touch your head. Lord Shiva started running. And Bhasmasura chased him through all corners of the universe. I'm like, what's wrong with you? I just gave you the boon. No, well, I'm going to try it out. What have I created? I've created a monster. That's Lord Shiva is thinking. So then Lord Shiva starts praying to the Lord Vishnu, my Lord, it's made a boo-boo, right? It's a problem. So Lord Vishnu hears his prayer and he appears in the form of Mohini Murti. Mohini is this very alluring female form of Lord Vishnu. It completely bewilders. It's so beautiful, this form. So you can see Lord Shiva is like, really sad. Come on, you gotta help me out. Lord Vishnu comes. He takes the form of Mohini. And Mohini starts dancing and this Bhasmasura is attracted. Wow, this lady is so beautiful. All right, I'm going to pause my project of running after Lord Shiva and let me just hang out with her for a minute. And he says, who are you? And Mohini's like, well, I see that you're running behind Lord Shiva. What's going on? Oh, nothing. I just got this boon from Lord Shiva. And it says that the boon, he said that I will have the power to do this, that I asked for this, that if I touch someone's head, that they'll die. And Mohini's like, oh, she just started laughing. You trust that guy? Lord Shiva, he says he gives boons, but you can't really trust him. I mean, if you think he's that powerful, he would have a house. He's homeless. If you think he was that great that he can give you a boon like that, he'd be living in a palace, but he lives in the crematorium. And use your brains. What kind of boon do you think he can give you? I guarantee you 100% that doesn't work. I'll show you. Look, here, let's do this dance step. I've been practicing dance step. Just to follow me. I'll touch my head. Nothing's going to happen. And I guarantee you touch your head. Just test it out. But because this guy had completely lost his mind and he was like, he's seeing someone so beautiful, completely lost his intelligence. It tends to happen when men see someone very beautiful, they lose their intelligence. So Bhasmasura said, yeah, sure, I'll do this cool dance step, touch his head, and immediately he himself died. You can see his body burned to ashes, his head exploded. So kind of grotesque, but Lord Vishnu has to come and save the day. You see. So Lord Shiva was very happy. Once Lord Shiva then asked Lord Vishnu, my Lord, this Maya energy of yours, this bewildering potency that you have, especially when you came that time during the churning of the ocean, and you came as Mohini Murti, and just now you came also. Now, how does that form just bewilder somebody? It's amazing. See, now Lord Shiva is the most sense-controlled male in all of existence. He's married to the material nature herself, and she was unable to agitate him. And once Kamadev himself, who is the Cupid, the Cupid, you see Cupid, little, pudgy, angel type being who has a bow and arrow and shoots on Valentine's Day, actually all year round, but they show him on Valentine's Day, right? He came to try to shoot that arrow of love or lust on Lord Shiva as he was meditating. Lord Shiva was meditating, and Cupid tried to fire his flowery arrow. Lord Shiva came out of his meditation. What's this nonsense bugging me? Nobody's immune to the flowery arrow of Cupid. But Lord Shiva was not affected by it. He opened his eyes. This is such a nuisance. And he was a little upset at him. He's irritated. He opened his eyes and burnt Cupid to ashes. But you can see Lord Shiva is so self-controlled. Nobody can faze him, especially nobody can shake him up or stir him this feeling of lust. But when he was curious about Mohini, Lord Vishnu said, "Are you sure you can handle it?" "Well, I'm curious, my lord. Please, if you can kind of indulge me." So Mohini then just appeared in the distance, and Lord Shiva started saying, "Wow, who's this girl? Is this really Mohini?" And she's just like bouncing a ball and running around, very alluring. And Lord Shiva completely lost his composure, ran after her and tried to embrace her. And he's like, "Oh, my lord, you've defeated me. I am completely fallen, but I'm very happy." So he was humble, but he was actually happy that, "My lord, yes, I'm humbled by you today, but it's a great source of joy for me that I was put in my place." So this is a very beautiful pastime to show the mood, the humble mood of a devotee, and especially when he sees the hand of the Lord in his life. He's a great devotee. In fact, he is glorified as the greatest. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 12th canto, we find these beautiful verses. Nimna ganam yatha ganga devanam achyuto yatha vaishnavanam yatha shambhu purananam idam tatha. Just as the Ganga is the greatest of all rivers, Lord Achyuta, Lord Krishna, the supreme among the deities, and Lord Shambhu, Shiva, is the greatest of Vaishnavas. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of all Puranas. So Lord Shiva is known as the greatest of all Vaishnavas. So, okay, that brings us to this point where we find ourselves in ISKCON or Krishna consciousness or Vaishnavism. How do Vaishnavas worship Lord Shiva? This has to be done in the context of understanding tattva and rasa. So any worship that we do must be done in the proper rasa. Rasa means the flavor of exchange of love, specific. We cannot just mix and match different aspects of divinity and incarnations and whimsically worship them. So here in our Tuwaka temple, our ISKCON temple here in Tuwaka, New Jersey, for example, you'll find Lord Shiva is present in two distinct forms. One is in the form of Advaita Acharya, is in the picture on the altar, who is one of the Panchatattva. He's understood to be the combined manifestation of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva, the original Lord Shiva. And then again, we also find the deity of Lord Hanuman, who is an incarnation of Lord Shiva. He's one of the expansions, one of the Rudras of Lord Shiva, and he's fully absorbed in worshipping Lord Ram. So we are not bereft of the worship of Lord Shiva, but it's done in the proper context, the proper tattva, and the proper rasa, with a full understanding. See, now, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrit, Shripad Krishnadas Kaviraj, has written an important song, Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna. You might have heard this. In this bhajan, one line poetically flows. It says, Jaya Jaya Gopishwara Vrindavana Maj. Gopishwara is glorifying, all glories to Lord Shiva Gopishwara, who resides in Vrindavan to protect the Dham of Vrindavan. You see. So in Vrindavan, you will see that Gopishwar Shiva is worshipped and revered as one of the most prominent deities in our Chaitanya line. This ancient Gopishwara temple in Vrindavan is glorified in Prabhupada's books, in the Vaishnavas, Acharya's writing. So Srila Prabhupada writes, right? The Prachetas received benediction from Lord Shiva, and as a result, they attained the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. This is real benediction. The gopis also worship Lord Shiva in Vrindavan, and the Lord is still staying there as Gopishwara. This is in the purport, okay? The gopis, however, prayed that Lord Shiva bless them by giving them Lord Krishna as their husband. There is no harm in worshipping the demigods, provided that one's aim is to return home back to God, to develop love for Krishna. So who is this mystical Gopishwara? What's the story behind Gopishwara? So we find the story in the Garga Samhita, the Vaishnava text, and it's very instructive for us Krishna devotees. It says, once upon a time, Lord Shiva, deep meditation in Kailash. He heard this beautiful, sweet melody of the flute of Lord Krishna. And he went even deeper in his meditation. In that meditation, he was transported to the abode of Vrindavan Dham. And when he observed, he saw that Lord Krishna is, as Gopinath, is getting ready for his Rasa Leela dance. And so Lord Shiva is so excited. He said, I want to participate in this is the greatest of all Leelas of the Lord. But he was stopped by Yogamaya. He said, you cannot enter. Yogamaya is expansion of Radharani. If you want to enter, you have to take permission of Vrinda Devi. Then Lord Shiva went to Vrinda Devi. Vrinda Devi said that, look, in Krishna's Rasliya dance, he's the only man. Everybody else is a woman, female. Okay, what do I need to do? So she said, you need to dip in this Manasarovar lake and you'll be transformed. And that's what happened. So Shiva immediately plunged into the lake and mysteriously came out with this cute, you can see this incredibly cute form of gopi. She even has that little moon and little snake also, snake necklace. So adorable. And she was just in the distance watching this Rasa Leela. You know. So this is the essential, quintessential pastime of the Lord, this Rasa Leela. Right? So then Krishna, he did the Rasa Leela dance, and after some time he was taking a break and he was resting. Then he sensed, hey, is there some strange man in this area? So he requested Lalita Devi, who's one of the gopis. He says, can you please look and see if there's some man hanging around here? And Lalita Devi started checking, looking at every gopi. And she said, as far as I can see, there's no man, it's all gopis. We've got so many gopis here. But there's one new, very attractive, cute gopi, and she has 3 eyes, the third eye. Krishna said, okay, please bring her to me. I want to see her. So when he saw this 3-eyed gopi, he started laughing and laughing. He just recognized this is Bholenath. He said, oh, Bholenath, Lord Shiva, what are you doing here? And he was actually so delighted that he couldn't even stop laughing. That you're the epitome of masculinity. If there's muscles and everything, now you're this gopi form. It's incredibly cute. And then Lord Shiva just bowed down with respect. And then Lord Krishna stopped laughing and smiled. He says, oh Gopishwara, means the Lord of the gopis. Actually, I'm very happy to see you in the form of a gopi. I give you the blessings that all other gopis will offer you their respect and worship. So now after hearing this, Srimati Radharani, whose nature, sometimes she gets very upset and angry. She said, who is this strange new gopi? You called me Gopishwari, and now you're given the title of Gopishwara. What's going on here? This is a great insult. I want to immediately leave you. And then so Lord Krishna holds Radharani's hand and says, don't be upset. This new gopi is actually Lord Shiva Mahadev in disguise. And he has entered this Rasa Mandala to, enjoy this exchange, observe us and worship us. So I've given him the name Gopishwara, the position of Dikpal. He's going to be protecting. So protecting this Dham from now on. And so from all 4 directions, this temple of Gopishwara is established. You can actually take this. This is a picture from the temple of Gopishwara in Vrindavan. So then he tells Lord Shiva that now that you have taken part in Ras Leela, you must not just be protecting this Dham from now on as Dikpal, the security chief, but you will guide the aspiring devotees to become free from their false ego and this male Purusha enjoying spirit. Your unique service is to be at the gate of Vrindavan for the Ras dance. And anyone who's unqualified, who thinks they're so great, or they're pseudo devotees, or mental speculators, or those who have selfish ideas with their yoga practices, you filter them out. You don't let them enter into the core of Vrindavan. They will never realize, but it's your job to make sure that you protect the sanctity, and only those with the purest intention can enter. Therefore, for us to be qualified, we have to first pass through and get the mercy of Gopishwar Mahadev. So Lord Shiva has happily accepted this service. As a topmost Vaishnava, his desire is to perpetually assist the Lord in all varieties of devotion. So who is this Lord Shiva? Today we can reflect. He is the greatest devotee. He's a Mahajan. He's one of the 12 Mahajans, Shambhu. He's at the level of Godhead. He's not a jiva like us. He's full of amazing paradoxes. Paradoxes like he's the purest of the pure, yet he lives among the most impure souls covered in ashes of the crematorium. He's a powerful master of this creation who is the richest, yet he lives under a tree without a home. He swallows poison and hangs out with poisonous creatures, and yet he gives nothing but nectar. He is a master of paradoxes. He's eternally meditating on the Lord. He takes part in Krishna's pastimes, and he can be worshipped by devotees in the proper rasa, in the proper context of Lord Krishna. Gopishwar Mahadev ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to glorify. I know there's no end to this. I just gave a little droplet of what's actually available out there. This is at least an 8-hour discussion. And because the glories of the Lord Krishna, glories of Lord Shiva are unlimited. Unfortunately, our time here is not, so we'll have to end here. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Bol.
Madana-gopāla Prabhu ki jai. Wow, what a class. You have managed to package so much nectar in just one class, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you. It's a truly educational session for us. Thank you. Okay, time to reflect, dear devotees. See, bhakti is beyond femininity, masculinity. Shiva has had zero problem manifesting his feminine.
Oh yeah, the ultimate transgender experience.
Yeah. Are there? Okay, Bhima has his hand up.
Haribol Prabhu, Maharaj. Thank you very much for this class. It's always lovely to see how very deep and applicable our philosophy is, even to modern times, and to understanding even deeper than our conventional ideologies, religious traditions, that there is indeed a level of worship that is open, to all involved, whether your constitutional position is outwardly feminine or masculine, and that what goes on in this modern world is a, as they say, perverted reflection, but that it all is included. They want inclusion. The movement is so inclusive in regards to the internal rasas that are available to the sincere, aspiring, truly loba, yearning devotee like Lord Shiva. I just wanted to make a statement. I brought this self-same subject up a few classes back, and people on the other line said that this was all village stories. That where did you get this from? That Lord Shiva became Shivani. I wanted to clear up something that did this not happen also as well? Arjuna expressed an interest to view and Narada himself expressed a longing to observe the rasa dance, and then therefore they had to bathe in Krishna's Manasarova, or Lake of Tears, in order to. Can you either yay or nay that?
Yeah, I've heard
story?
that. I've heard that. I wouldn't suspect it too much. I would say, yeah. This story which I read was actually authentic from the Garga Samhita, and Prabhupada has also acknowledged that one. So I wouldn't be surprised if the other one's also authentic. It should be okay to accept. I don't think it's a big deal. It doesn't seem to change many things or change anything really. So I would tend to, of course we want to look it up to see where it's coming from. Sometimes some of these village stories that may not have Shastric background are still okay to illustrate certain points, as long as they stay within the line of conclusions. So that's okay. Some of our gurus do that. Some of our acharyas do take those there's some flexibility there for sure. So it's okay. Yes.
So I'm not just a village a fool spreading rumors.
You're legit.
We do have to be careful. We have to be careful. And best is to stay with the Acharya's lines. It's just better. Especially Prabhupada's given us so much. He's given us a lot of confirmation. And it's such a vast body of work. So we can stick to that, and we won't run out of stuff to talk about. So we don't need to necessarily, but it should be okay,
Yeah.
Mukunda Prabhu has his hand up. Mukunda?
Nandabas Prabhuji, wonderful class, of course. Shimadev. So I've also heard the story that Prabhuji just mentioned. I'm not also sure of the sourcing. I've heard it repeated by pretty reputable acharyas that Arjuna is Ajaniya Gopi and Narada is Nardiya Gopi. But again, like you're saying, I'm not sure of the source. But in terms of Gopeshwar Mahadev, there's also narration in Padma Puran. And Rupa Goswami is quoted in Lagu Bhagavatamrita, Sarashivakya Tanmurtis Tamo Guna Vivajita, Savakarana Vibhatso Anga Bhuta Swayam Prabhu. That Sadashiv, who appears directly from the side of Krishna, which is a story told in Padma Puran, that Sadashiva performs the Leela to become Gopeshwar Mahadev. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he's mentioned that he's also the Adi Icha, means he's an original desire of Bhagavan to understand the prem of Radhika. Then he gives praman for this by quoting Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, Shri Radha Pranaya Mahima Kidrusa Vanyeva, that Krishna has this desire to understand what is the glory of the prem of Radhika. So in Padma Puran, that form of Sadashiv that manifests in the Ras Mandal is actually Krishna's original desire to understand the prem of Radhika. But the upakyan, or the teaching that comes from that Leela, is that unless one does service, Gopi Vina Anugatya Aishwarya Gyane, right? Unless one does service to gopis, you cannot just enter Ras Mandal in an artificial form. So it gives praman against Prakriti Sahajavad and so many things, right? So it's a very beautiful Leela. At the same time, it expresses how Krishna's desire to understand the prem of Radhika is paramount in our line, how much that Krishna wanted to understand, and therefore he takes the form of Mahaprabhu. So that's the gist of it.
Yes, thank you. That's very deep. And also the point about doing seva to the gopis is very important. We cannot just approach it sentimentally or whimsically like the Prakriti Sahajiyas do. It's a great point. Thank you, Prabhu. Wonderful. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Any other questions? We have a very qualified speaker today, dear devotees. Take advantage. Paripusha Prabhu, Temple Room.
There's a question in the chat.
Thanks, Vinisha.
Oh, there's a chat. Yeah, this says, thank you for the wonderful class. You mentioned Shiva as the...
If you have a few minutes, Madana-gopāla Prabhu, please stay.
Okay. We'll do after this, right? Yes.
Yeah, after darshan. Yes. Welcome to the Afterglow, dear devotees. Madana-gopāla Prabhu, are you here? Okay. Let's go back to the question. You were reading it, Prabhu.
Yes. So Shiva, we mentioned as master of creation, but isn't Brahma also the creator of this universe? So there's a semantic difference. Master of the creation doesn't mean he's the one who created it. He's just master of it, right? The creator is still Lord Brahma, but after it's created, Lord Shiva is in charge of many aspects of it. First of all, because he's the most powerful of the demigods. Okay, he's way more powerful than Lord Brahma, Indra, anybody else. So in that sense, he's a master. That's why they all rushed to him when there was trouble. So yes, the creation pastime or the function of putting the ingredients together of this world is Brahma's job. Now, the word creation is a little tricky and can be confusing because one may conjure up an idea that creation means Brahma now manifests something out of nothing. But that's not how creation works, or Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is, you can say, the engineer, or you can say the cook. He's the hired cook. Krishna is the boss. Krishna provides him the cookbook, the recipe, and the ingredients, and the kitchen, and the utensils and everything. And Brahma does the actual work. Because he cooks something, so he gets the credit for creating this, whatever he's cooked. But he's a secondary creator. All the ingredients and everything is direction, ingredients, facilities provided by Krishna. So even Lord Brahma is not the master of creation. He's a secondary creator. And Lord Shiva is way more powerful in a much higher position, like we learned in the verses. Thank you for the question.
Any further questions, dear devotees?
Any comments or reflections on this?
Adipusha Prabhu is tempted to glorify Krishna. Unmute yourself, Prabhu.
Wonderful Krishna. Yeah, there was some controversy a little while ago about him mentioning these pastimes of Arjuna becoming feminine, or Lord Shiva taking on a feminine form to participate in rasa dance. And so somebody asked Sri Prahlad Prabhu, he said, well, I'm not really familiar with the village stories. I know they exist. I basically stick to Srila Prabhupada's books. Not that these aren't good stories, but the way to avoid crossing the line, one way, is to speak about the principles illustrated by the story, right? For example, there's a story about the emperor's new clothes. You know that story? Madana-gopāla? Yeah. And the little boy, he wasn't afraid to say, whoa, the emperor's naked. You know, everybody else was a little bit hesitant. They were hesitant because they were afraid to displease the emperor, so they didn't speak the truth. So
Yeah, Adipusha Prabhu is in the elevator. I should have warned him.
He's a very elevated soul.
yeah, that's where
you could say, just speak the truth. He wasn't worried. So if we just speak the principles, we're free to even discuss things that we haven't directly heard from Srila Prabhupada, because Prabhupada gave us the principles that apply to the stories. So but sometimes these stories are maybe something Prabhupada didn't choose to give us, right?
Very good point, Adipurush Prabhu. I think that's the essence of it. Perfect answer. Because like, if you know the principle behind it, you can use stories from other traditions to illustrate a principle. Sometimes these stories can be very powerful, even from, you can get traditions from African histories, or even just like, folk tales from Europe and Far East Asia. There's so many wonderful wisdom tales. Sachinanda Maharaj does a brilliant job of these wisdom tales, and then he illustrates a point of Krishna consciousness. It really drives home a point. It's really fantastic.
We gave the example that Jai Patak Maharaj told us. He said that one of Prabhupada's godbrothers invited him. So he went there, and they were having some Krishna Katha, and then the sannyasi said to him, I'm going to tell you something your guru didn't tell you. And then he said, he put the moves on me. He said, he put the moves on me. I didn't want to think, here's something that Prabhupada didn't give us, But Prabhupada's given us everything, and if we stick to the principles of the story, which it's a little safer, because like you said, you have to be a little careful, because sometimes there's all these things about intimate dealings with Krishna and the gopis, and it's basically a little bit sahaja, or the danger is there that we might drift to neglect the preeminence of our own particular person we're taking shelter of. Anyway,
Thank you, bro. No, that's perfect comment. I appreciate that part, especially where anybody would come and tell someone, hey, Prabhupada didn't give you everything, or your guru, he's not really the best, or yeah, your guru is okay, but when someone is trying to undermine your faith in the person you've taken shelter of spiritually, that is a huge disservice to Krishna, It's a huge disservice to the process of parampara. It's a huge offense to the guru and offense to Vaishnavism in general. And why is that coming? It's coming out of envy or something. So even sometimes people pull them aside, oh, he may be a guru, but actually he's okay, but he's not the best, like, so this happens all the time. And it's coming from a place of envy, and it's very dangerous, very damaging to everybody involved. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Like Maharaj is saying, he put the moves on me, I don't know. Yeah, thank you so much. It's a great point. Some hands up over here with Sandamini Mataji, followed by Bhima Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Such a wonderful class as always. Prabhuji, I have a question. How do we preach to such people who are Shaivites? Like, how do we explain Krishna consciousness and Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a very non-offensive way?
A very good question. It is hard because, generally speaking, those who are Shaivites, and especially when you say Shaivites, those who are convinced that Lord Shiva is actually the ultimate and everyone comes from him, including Lord Krishna, is subservient eternally, ontologically, existentially to Lord Shiva. And so that's an offensive understanding. It's an incorrect understanding. But it's hard to work with them because generally those conclusions are not based on Shastra. You see, so then first we have to work, there's a couple of aspects of how we have to be very delicate about it. First, we have to amply glorify Lord Shiva properly, like we just did today, in the proper context. You amply glorify Lord Shiva, saying that even in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is really Krishna's book, Lord Shiva is glorified so much, like this, like this, like this, right? So Lord Shiva is not, excluded from the picture. He is great. And this other thing, that he's basically Lord Vishnu. And then you may ask, now you see, it depends on the person. Some people are just emotionally surcharged, they don't want to hear anything. So then those people, you can't work with them. But if someone is somewhat open-minded and curious to understand your point of view, that you can only work with those kind of people. So then in that case, you can say that, how do you learn about the glories of Lord Shiva? How do I learn about glories of anybody in our culture, in our tradition? You learn them by studying Shastra. You accept Bhagavad Gita. So which self-respecting, Sanatan Dharma follower will say, I don't accept Bhagavad Gita? Okay, so is that a starting point? Bhagavad Gita is all about Krishna and how Lord Krishna explains the context of the demigods and this and that. And the Bhagavatam explains further in depth, and you can express the glorification. There's not that much difference really between Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna. They're essentially the same person, just like yogurt and milk are the same, and yet they're somewhat different, and how to worship them properly, how to please them. And then who do you think Lord Shiva is meditating on? He's the one doing Japamala. Krishna doesn't do Japamala, or Krishna maybe sometimes does Japamala, but that he does it to call his cows, because he keeps track of his cows using his 108 beats. But who is Lord Shiva worshiping? Lord Shiva's expansion of Hanuman worships who? Like that. So, and what will please Lord Shiva more? Devotees are pleased when other people become devotees of Krishna. Devotees are not happy when people just think they're God. Prabhupada was not happy when some devotees came to the conclusion that actually Prabhupada is God. Prabhupada was very upset. He came down very heavy on them. So similarly, Lord Shiva is more pleased when you understand thoroughly the scriptures, when you understand thoroughly Lord Shiva's position, and he is very, very ecstatic when you turn to Krishna, because then you join him in what makes him happy, rather than, enter in this false narrative of, just asking him for selfish things, or even if you're not selfish, you just want to ask for the association of Lord Shiva. You just want to serve him selflessly. That's great. But then when you want to serve somebody selflessly, you got to know what that person wants and what will please that person. And when Lord Shiva says, I'm most pleased when people worship Krishna, then you follow that. You see, if someone says, I love the taste of, just fresh water, But you keep insisting, no, you must make this milkshake that I made for you. No, I'm actually allergic to dairy. No, you must drink the milkshake. You should do what pleases the person. Similarly, you should find out what pleases Lord Shiva. And there's many stories around that, but we'll just leave it at that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Bhima Prabhu.
Yes. I'd just like to say that when I first joined the movement many years ago, I had like a philosophy minor. I had been taking some 101s and 201s in logic and reason and et cetera, et cetera. And that actually became and also the study of other philosophies, including existentialism and Eastern philosophies. And these actually became a barrier for me when I first joined in understanding Prabhupada's, in understanding the Gita and understanding Prabhupada's purports. It's taken me a life of a long, many decades to finally be able to sit and read clearly, lucidly, Prabhupada's purports on any given subject throughout the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And that we find in reference to Prabhupada didn't tell you something, that actually Prabhupada has told us everything. There's not a single subject matter that Prabhupada did not somewhere address it, expressly address it. And that if the bhakta is sincere in really wanting to know, and of course introspective and contemplative enough, meaning silent within the brain, and just read what Prabhupada has to say, his purports, that you'll get your answers on any subject matter. The position of Shiva, what Madhura Ras is, what Sakya Ras is, what true awe and reverence is. He discusses that we need to, in one says he admonishes sahajas, and in another purport he says that without us reading and absorbing Krishna's pastimes with the gopis and understanding these pastimes, we will fall prey to sex life, because we are not satisfying the soul's need for intimacy, and that intimacy being, of course, in observing and worshiping and talking about sharing Krishna's beautiful pastimes and all the elements of his pastimes. And we serve the gopis by sharing and talking about that. I mean, just dressing the deities and dressing Radharani and placing a garland on her hand so that she can give it to Krishna. These are all, parts of serving the gopis so that they may serve Krishna. And by doing so, within it is revealed the answers that we all want, that we don't have to ever go elsewhere. We never have to look outside Prabhupada's books for these things, that actually Prabhupada in his purports has, I've found finally, after 40 years, and finally allowing myself to accept what Prabhupada says verbatim, literally speaking, by accepting what Prabhupada says on any given subject matter, it's revealed to us, and that we are at a lack for nothing to need to know. So, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Great points. Yeah, Prabhupada has given us everything. And sometimes when we come to Krishna consciousness with a lot of pre-understanding, which is really a lot of misconception, the form of understanding, then we have to spend the time to unlearn, so we have to spend the time to unlearn some of these things. Like if you go to the piano teacher for the first time and say, oh yeah, I know how to play this song and that song, and say, oh, okay, then it'll take me a little longer to teach you, because now you have to unlearn your bad habits and things you have taught yourself wrong, thinking you know so much. So yes, thank you. Great point. Any other reflections anybody has to share?
I just wanted to share and reflect more on that question, is that essentially beyond a point, why there's no benefit for us to convince someone that Lord Krishna is the ultimate, right? So, for example, as humans, if we are very secure, we don't go about trying to convince other, look how great I am. Then we become more and more humility, and we are more and more quieter. And same
Yes.
way, Lord Krishna is fully secure in himself. He doesn't need us to go and so his beauty will attract everyone anyways. And even if others don't recognize him, if they are true Shaivites or they are true Christians or they are true Muslims, and they follow the letter of their religion, they will also do good. So like the good will anyways spread. Like a lot of bad problems in world are happening because of misinterpretations. So I mean, that's just what I wanted to share, Prabhuji.
Yeah, and actually the thing is, Krishna says that in the Gita too. He says, don't disturb the minds of others. And certainly, you don't instruct this to the faithless, first of all. That's why it's someone who's not ready to be convinced, who's not open to hear your side. Don't waste your time with them, because it's just waste of time, and also can cause you to be more confused, cause them to be more confused, and so on. So you approach the right people who are curious and really, or at least somewhat open. And you're right, Krishna's beauty will attract them. And Krishna says that if somebody is attracted to a particular demigod, I kind of strengthen their faith. So they develop it. And then there's a natural progression from there that'll happen later on. When they just first they just have to accept there is some higher authority and power. Then once their faith is somewhat developed in that area, then they can realize, okay, and Krishna will facilitate their next step. So thank you, Prashant Prabhu, for your comments.
This sounds like Naimisharanya Forest. So many questions and so many nice answers. Really, really nice Sikh philosophy going on. Okay, we'll take one more. We're going to respect time. Mukunda Prabhu, Hare Krishna. You're such a scholar, my God.
No, Buddhi, I'll be very quick. I was just going to say, I think Srila Prabhupada's emphasis is always that we should try to encourage people as much as possible by our love, our affection, our friendship, because many people don't have sukriti to necessarily come to understand all the nuances of bhakti. But if they will get bhakti unmukhi sukriti, it's called, if they will be friendly to devotees, buy a book, attend a temple, take any prasad, anything, that journey will start. So we should always be more mindful not to want to argue or things like that, but more to want to encourage them to look favorably upon devotees. Of course, we cannot tolerate opposite danta, etc. But same time, if somebody's worshiping Shiva or they're Muslim, Christian, whatever, if they will see in us a good example of bhakti and they will become slightly favorable, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says their bhakti unmukhi sukriti has started. And Srila Prabhupada was masterful at creating an atmosphere for that.
Yeah, Prabhu, that's the essence. Thank you so much. It's like, when we go out in the street or when we're trying to share and preach, or what is it that we're quote unquote selling? What is our product? Actually, our flagship product in Krishna consciousness is love and encouragement. That's what our product is. There's not enough of it in the world out there. There's so much discouragement in the world that if you can just embody and facilitate sharing that you really care about somebody, a lot of the times they don't even care what you said. They give up these technical differences of which god you worship or what the name you give and things like that. Sometimes, what is the real difference between Shaivism and Vaishnavism? A lot of those confusions and things just dissolve because you are exuding a genuine sense of care, that I care for you. I'm here for you. I'll do whatever it takes to give you encouragement, because the world is very discouraging out there. Let's be friends, and we know there's a higher power. Let's worship that higher power together. Whatever flavor, tradition is kind of irrelevant. We want to develop love for God, love for each other, respect. And if you can do that, then these other small differences, they become insignificant. And then later on, things become clearer as you develop that love. That's what's Prabhupada, right? When the scholars, they say that when I met these initial Prabhupada devotees, I couldn't understand. On one hand, they were so enthusiastic about Swami Bhaktivedanta, but on the other hand, they had no clue about the philosophy. I don't know why they were so crazy after him. Why? Because Prabhupada was the embodiment of love, ecstatic love. From him, ecstatic prema emanates. And then what happens? By him, ignorance is destroyed. This is the glory of the spiritual master. See, so we are all empowered by our spiritual masters to also share as much as possible. If you find a person where you want to hang out with more because they're so loving and caring, then the other battles are small by comparison. Thank you so much. Mukunda Prabhu is a great point. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna. I don't want to talk at all. This is just nectar. Okay, who wants to be the finisher? Who wants to finish it off? Adipusha Babu, I saw you wanted to speak. Very briefly. Glorify Krishna briefly. And mute yourself also. Yeah, we represent Krishna. Let's not forget about that. I'm asking you to unmute. Okay.
I heard Krishna gave me a very humorous experience one time that sort of embodies a principle that's already been spoken about in class. I was listening to two very young Gurukul kids walking by while I was working. They must have been like 7 or 8 years old. And one said, I think the clotheslines in the Dallas temple are better than the clotheslines here at New Vrindavan. And the other one said, where does Prabhupada say that? I got that line, like 1974, and I found it very applicable. Anyway, glories to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Tell the other pastor about what they said.
I don't know if that.
Tell them in mind.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
They only have one comment.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam,
Bhagavatam ki
where Srila Prabhupada gives us everything. Ki Jai.
jai.
Thank you. Madana-gopāla Prabhu, Ki Jai. Wonderful class. Bowing down to you. Maharaj, thank you so much for giving us your association.
Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna. We'll see you soon again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis and Vaishnavets. You're beyond your gender. You're beyond, Bhakti is beyond all the philosophical differences, anything. We shouldn't have any problem with anything if we stick to Bhagavatam, to Krishna, and to morning class, where we get access to Madana-gopāla Prabhu and other devotees.
Hare Bol.
Prabhupada gave us Madana-gopāla, right? Book is one thing, but somebody who you can ask a question, talk, and interact, maybe even touch appropriately, that's another story, right? Okay, Hare Krishna.
Appreciate that. Thank you.